A elementary and middle school Spanish teacher in Michigan, and
What part of Michigan?
the Metro Detroit.
Oh my God, you see the snow we're getting today?
I did,
Oh my God,
yeah.
I'm glad I'm going home tomorrow. Gee,
Glad I'm
it's
here.
all shoveled by then.
Yeah.
Just all stay here.
So my question is sort of two-pronged, but there's seems to have been a proliferation in recent years of elementary Spanish programs, and I think most people in the field would say that they don't have very much time with their students, sometimes 1 or 2 sessions a week. And my question is 2 parts. One, do you think that programs like that have value? And the second part is, given those limited time constraints, other than advocating for more time, what do you think teachers should do with their time to maximize it for language acquisition?
That's about 8 questions in one.
I know. Sometimes this happens to me in the show. I get these dissertation-like questions.
Very good.
And people want a lot for $5. You know?
Yeah, give it a brief shot. First of all, in terms of foreign language in the elementary school, the general public idea is that the earlier you start, the better, and it's magic. And no, it's not true. Older is faster. Before puberty will give you better accent in the long run than after puberty, but older is much quicker. If you want to be efficient, I would say start around age 9, 10, and not with preschool, etc. But there's nothing wrong with the programs. A lot of them are wonderful. The kids like it. They get a good attitude for it. And if you could pump in 2 sessions a week of really high quality, compelling, comprehensible input, like TPRS.
Yay!
Okay. Yeah, it's fantastic. I would love 2 hours a week of comprehensible input in the language of my choice. I think it's great. A little bit about TPRS. I get a lot of credit for Natural Approach, undeserved, because it was Tracy Terrell's work. But I get credit for it anyway, and I love it. It's wonderful. TPRS is better. Thank you, Blaine Ray.
Yes. Excellent. And by the way, speaking of TPRS, before I forget, Steve and I are going to be together this next summer at the iFLT, the International Forum on Language Teaching Conference, which will be held. Where's it going to be? Chattanooga. I knew it was in Tennessee somewhere. So right here, those of you in the audience can see this. Go by the TPRS booth and pick up one of these.
Bill, piggyback on that. While you're in Chattanooga, come a little early and come to another session related to the conference. Put on by Fluency Fast. Go to fluencyfast.com, where we're actually offering some intensive classes, and you're gonna love it.
There you go. Let me just go back to Joe for a minute, this question about this K through 6 stuff. Because you used the word value. You said, what value? And that's always the key to things, how people interpret value means. Everything that these kids would get involved with is valuable, no matter if it's 2 hours a week or 1 hour a week. It doesn't make a difference. It's all valuable. It depends on what kind of spin you put on it. Because I think, as Steve said, if the kids are liking it and they want to do more later on, that is where you need to be. Because one of our jobs as language teachers is to get people excited about language. And there's no more way to get them excited about language for them to make some progress and do some things and say, look, even if I can only speak 2 or 3 words at a time, I can do that. And we need to show parents, we need to show administrators that these things are very positive things, and we're creating positive attitudes toward language and language acquisition.
Well, for once, I agree with you.
I know the day was coming.
Yeah. If we have one goal, it's wanting more later on.
Yep.
That is all that counts. That's the major thing. And I'll tell you something that nobody else knows except me and Darcy Pippins, who's sitting here in the first row. She has managed, in teaching Spanish in the high school, to get a large number of her kids to go all the way and take the AP test all the way through, to go through the whole program. And the percentage that she's getting to actually do it is about, at least 5 times as what we're getting in the national average. This is what counts. Are they continuing? One of the things we're very concerned with is, how do you make someone a lifetime reader, not just a reader to get through an exam? How do you make someone want more? Thanks for bringing that up.
It's like my mother always said too, in response to Joe's question is, leave them weak and begging for more. That's what we want to do.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Carol Dobb, the owner of Storytelling, has facilitated and made sure I could be here. We did a co-presentation. Thank you, Carol. TPR Storytelling, really nice stuff. Good books, etc.
Great stuff. Okay, we have time for what? One more. We got somebody at the table here ready to ask a question. How's we doing on time? So again,
10 minutes. We're
Okay,
good.
We got time enough for one more good question. Is it a question or a comment?
It's a question.
Okay. No. Next question, please. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, my name is Jan. I'm from Minnesota.
Hey, Jan from Minnesota. What part of Minnesota are you from?
Delano, which is outside Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. I don't know that. I know Eden Prairie. That's the only place I know outside of Minneapolis.
Okay, well, my question is going back to sometimes a hot button word, output. That was part of the challenge quiz that we had here today.
Yep.
And in my teacher seminar workshops, I often quote Dr. Krashen here that output is not language acquisition, it's the evidence that language acquisition has occurred. And so sometimes very erroneously, people think that a CI, a comprehensive input classroom, the students never speak and the students never write. And this is part of the confusion out there in the general public. So could you clarify what is the role of output in the language development process?
I'm going to let Bill do this because he said it very well in his writings.
Really think so?
Yep.
Okay.
Hand it to you.
Well, I can't remember what I said now. Maybe I should. Why don't you quote me now? I'll see if I remember.
Bill said, output doesn't cause language acquisition, but it certainly can help you get more comprehensible input. If you talk and you're lucky, someone might answer back and say things that are relevant. And it can help control what the conversation is about, let the person know what level you're at, etc. So it helps indirectly, not necessary. Theoretically, it's not necessary. Theoretically, you could do the whole thing by just listening and reading, but practically, it's a very wonderful way of getting comprehensive input.
Exactly. And if you go back to our definition of communication that Jim and I use in our book, for example, the interpretation, expression of meaning in a given context. When a learner answers with one or two words, that learner is telling you what he or she has understood that you said, or from some other interlocutor. And so that kind of minimal output that's appropriate for the level of the learner, is that back channeling to the other person that, yes, I'm understood. And so the conversation keeps going, or adjustments are made so that the person gets better language directly. And so our response is that output as part of the natural communicative process is fine as long as it's level appropriate. Yeah. I mean, we're not trying to get students to speak in complete sentences, but if a student can say yes, no, or if you say, was this a dog or a cat? It's a dog. That's appropriate response for that question, if that question is appropriate for what you're doing at that point.
We owe a lot of this to Tracy Terrell, natural learning.
Yes.
These things accepted.
And I miss Tracy.
Oh my
God.
goodness, yes.
What a wonderful man he was.
Absolutely.
Love that guy.
He was. He changed my life in the early 80s when
He was a great guy.
came to Minnesota for a workshop that I fortunately was able to attend.
He and I were actually going to work on a project together. We started talking about it at an ACTFL once, back in '89, I think it was, and we laid out the project and we were giving ourselves a year to start working on it. Then he got ill, and then unfortunately he passed away not too long after that. We never got to work on the project. I was really devastated, but it was not